So our special guest is marine biologist, research scientist, marine scientist, and microbiology scientist, Dr. Tinesh Tangadure from Pondicherry University in India. Nice to meet you too.
Yeah.
So now I'm ambassador from the Marine Conservation Network in Santa Barbara. So
Mhm.
now today, what are we going to talk about, Dr. Tinesh?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about coral today.
Mhm.
So first, what is coral?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, coral reefs are cylinderates. That's um, it's a sedentary animal. It cannot move from one place to other place. Okay, so that live in the underwater, and it's protect us from storms for the fishes and giving oxygen for the.
So how do the coral make their skeleton? Their skeleton? Do you know that?
Yeah. So basically, like how corals are living underwater is the corals are cylinderates, so they cannot make their own food by eating, for example, like that. Take it like that. Okay, the corals having symbionts in their body. Symbiont means there's algae. The between corals and the algae, there is a symbiotic relationship. Okay, without the algae, the corals cannot survive. So what the symbiont algae is doing is the algae is doing photosynthesis. You know photosynthesis, right?
Yes.
Okay, the algae, I mean, making energy from the sunlight and transfer the energy to the corals. Okay, so there's a symbiotic relationship. Without the algae, the coral cannot survive. 95% of energy the coral is getting from the algae only.
Yes. So what is this relationship between coral and algae? Why is it so important?
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, the corals cannot make all the energy need for the corals, right? So the algae is giving nutrients to the corals.
So
So basically without algae, the corals cannot live.
yes.
Okay. And now the scientists figured out not only single algae present in the coral, there are different type of algae. For example, if you take type A, B, C, D, and E and C, if the coral is hosting D, that coral can survive the temperature even better than other corals.
So what type of algae are in the coral? What are the names?
Yeah, so scientists named type A, B, C, D, and E and G like that. So Dirostinium, and there are some technical names. Those names is a little bit technical. Yes, then if you keep remember different type and A, B, C, and D, it's fine.
Yes. So do coral have bioluminescence?
Um, yes. So it's not a bioluminescence. There are some bacteria associated with the corals, right? The corals not only that single animal, it is the coral, the whole body is having a microbiome, including algae and different
Okay.
Just a minute, wait for me. My kid is also there. He also will be more eager to listen this. Okay, is it okay for you?
Yes.
Yeah, he's my son. He's studying second standard, so he also can listen. Yeah.
Hi.
So yeah, your question now.
Okay. So, so there's a type of deep sea coral, okay, but I don't understand how those coral live in the deep sea. Okay, they are a deep sea coral. I don't understand how they live in the deep sea.
Okay, so the deep sea corals are basically not hosting symbionts, not hosting the algae inside their body. Okay, because if it is hosting the algae also, it cannot get light to do photosynthesis. Okay, so in the deep sea, what they're doing is body at night time that eats small planktons roaming around in their place, and that is living there like that. Yeah, so basically corals can get energy by eating small plankton also surrounding it by using tentacles. But in the surface area corals, most of the energy depends on the algae. But in terms of deep sea, it's only eating with the help of tentacles.
What is coral bleaching? So I have a specimen of a big bleached coral here. So do you happen to know?
Oh,
I think this is a brain coral. It's a big one.
yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so the coral bleaching is a phenomenon. When the temperature is going higher, uh, understand, when the temperature, for example, every corals living in the optimum temperature is optimum temperature in India is 28 degrees Celsius. Okay, 28 degrees Celsius. In that time, the corals getting energy and do photosynthesis perfectly good, every corals being live. But when the temperature is going higher, when the temperature reach to 31 degrees Celsius, and the temperatures retain in that environment for more than 1 week, okay, so the photosynthesis mechanism is breakdown in the algae. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So the scientists are still trying to understand what exactly is happening inside the photosynthetic machine. But basically, the photosynthetic mechanism is broke down. Then the corals thinks, oh, this algae is not giving energy to me. The algae is simply sitting inside me and just pushing it out. So basically, when the temperature is going up, the algae is going out of the corals. So the coral is not able to get energy from the algae. Then it looks bleached. It looks white in color. If the temperature is long lasting, then other secondary accumulation is happening in the marine environment, then entire coral reefs died.
Yes. So I
Got it?
over here I have a specimen of a bleached coral, a half bleached coral, and half with the algae. You
Okay.
see? So it still has some of its coloring. This is the exoskeleton. Okay, over here the
Yeah.
coral polyps need to be over here. Okay, the the coral polyps have died away. So the coral polyps is the animal in this coral, and
Yeah.
uh, so they say bleaching is a defense mechanism of the coral. So
Mhm.
let's say if the if the algae doesn't give the energy, and
Right.
if something happens to the algae, so the coral releases it,
Mhm.
and then the coral starves, so it's lost its main food source. So it starves, it doesn't completely
Right.
die out when they release the algae, and they just starve. Okay, they do not reproduce, they do not grow, they just starve, and
Yeah.
they will surely die. So over here I have a specimen of a sponge.
Yeah.
I don't know whether this is a sea sponge, but
Okay.
quite different from the other coral. Okay, this is definitely a sponge.
Mhm.
So, so How is coral bleaching caused?
How is coral bleaching?
Or
Oh.
how is coral bleaching caused? How it forms? So I think it's the temperature rising it's warm water temperature rising.
Yes, yes.
So what are the harms that are caused to coral?
Yeah, so when the temperature rise, the algae no longer able to survive, right? So basically, as you said, it's solved, and I mean, if it is long lasting, then it's died. All the corals will die. As you know, once the coral died, the dependent organisms like coral fishes and other dependent organisms also not will not have a proper place to live around. So that also will die. So ultimately, once the corals died, the entire ecosystem gets affected. Yeah, that's the thing. That's a major stuff, right? And there are some studies, and recent studies they mentioned, if the coral bleach, the coral is not able to produce enough larvae to make a new corals. So that's a mechanism like coral doing is like coral reproductive mechanism, that release larvae and go and settle in some places and that make us a new colony. That's a one impact, direct impact. The second impact is if the corals recovered from the bleaching also, the coral not able to uh, construct a proper skeleton in the corals. So that's a other demerit of the bleaching.
Yes. So over here,
Mhm,
this is the
mhm.
sponge I showed you before, and this is a hard
Barnacle.
sponge. Okay.
Oh, that's not a sponge actually. That's a
I,
barnacle.
no, I don't think it's a barnacle. Yeah, it's a barnacle. Yeah. Oh.
Oh, it's a sponge. I don't know.
Yes. So how do we restore coral reefs? Yes. How do we restore?
Okay, how do we restore coral reef? Okay, that's a very interesting question, Devi. The see now the corals are doing reproduction in two way. Okay, one is producing larvae and it will settle down on place and it's making like a new colony. And the other way coral is doing is asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is if some waves or anything comes that the branch broke down and from there the small colony will come out. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, the now scientists are doing is what they do, they break the colony carefully and attach within a different place with some rock places, then that will make us a new colony. Yeah, in India also we do the restoration efforts. We break small pieces and attach with some glue in the bottom, then the, eh, then budding will happen, the small budding will happen, then that makes new colony. So
Yes.
each single polyp can become an many polyps. Okay, so that makes as a big colony. Then it will grow.
Yes. So can you explain the lifespan of the life cycle of a coral?
Yes. So okay. So basically the corals. Um, uh, okay, the coral first question is the corals. Some corals release sperm, and some corals release eggs. Okay, that's a one way of then egg and sperm meeting in the water that makes us a larvae. Then other way is uh, the coral itself, the mating and everything is happening inside itself. The larvae will come uh, directly from the coral. Then it is swim in the water, and when it find the substrate, and it's find a substrate and settle down, and it's grow like a normal coral colony.
Yes. So scientists have found a way how to make
Mhm.
coral grow uh, like quicker than it grows. Yes.
Okay.
So they
Yeah.
first break. the coral into a lot of small pieces. Then they
Yes.
make nurseries for them in the
Yes.
sea.
Yes. That also they're doing. Yes. Yes.
Yes, they make nurseries, and then
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
coral goes to size, a small
Mm-hmm.
size. Then they can, when it goes like an average size, they plant them in the the ocean
Wild.
surface. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they can restore the reef, the site
Yeah.
that has been destroyed,
Yeah.
and we can restore the other coral that has been lost. Why do we need to protect the coral, and why is it so
Yeah.
important?
Yes. So corals are, protein factories. People, scientists are saying that the corals are protein factories because it's a breeding ground for the fishes living in the ocean, right? So that's the one reason. The second reason is, okay, so why do we need to conserve the plants? Because that's giving oxygen for us, right? The plants consuming carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. So in that way, we are getting a lot of oxygen from the plants. Similarly, the corals also doing the same job inside the water when they are doing a photosynthetic mechanism. The second, the third thing, there are millions and millions of people living in the coastline area, right? For example, in India, if you come and see, there are so many people depends on their day-to-day life, uh, day-to-day life uh, depends on the corals. For example, living in the sea and they go for fishing and get small fishes. And second thing, uh, you know so when they're living near to the sea, if they do have a corals that protects them from the storms, like during the tsunami, the waves, the corals protected them from the waves. You got it? Basically, they
Yes.
are the soldiers, they are the hardcore walls, they are helping us. Yeah. So three point. One is food. Second point, giving proper place to live for the fisheries, and third thing is protection.
Yes. So what is our responsibility? Why are we responsible to protect the coral? So
Yeah. So our responsibility as a child and younger generation and future scientists is not not really so much carbon dioxide, because if it is carbon dioxide is more, then the water temperature is always will be more, right? And now the emerging problem is pollution. People are just simply putting all the water, I mean,
junk,
wastewater
junk,
and junk
junk,
water into
junk,
that place.
junk.
So that makes so much trouble to the
Fish.
corals, and disease and everything comes for them, you know. So that's our responsibility to uh, save the ocean, not throwing out the things in the water.
So one day, I went to a beach on Gold, okay, with my family, and then
Mm-hmm.
I saw there was a big like a lake near the beach, okay, and then
Uh-huh.
the lake was full with uh, plastic and uh, nutrients for algae, just full of that. Then all of it went to the sea. So
Mm-hmm.
that happened there. So there's all the nutrients that could cause an algal bloom,
Yes,
which
you're
can
right. Yeah.
block all of the sunlight that is
Yes, you're
coming
right.
for the coral
Yeah.
and the other like seaweed and the plants that need sunlight to make their food, like
Mm-hmm.
coral and the other animals that need like the
Yeah,
sunlight.
yeah.
So now red tides also get caused by this.
Yeah, the
Then
pollution, yes.
yes,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, when the nutrient amount is normal than more, I mean, it's a higher. So what happened, that environment makes suitable for one particular type of algae. That algae can grow really faster like anything. Okay, so that grows faster and consume all the oxygen in the water column, and and also it blocks sunlight, as you said. So that makes so much trouble. And once the algae algal abundance is more, abundance means the algal population is more, that do communicate faster and produce so much toxin. So the toxin is harmful for us as well as the fish, fish which are living in the water. Yeah.
Yes. In the Indian Ocean, does the Indian Ocean have dead zones or like dead zones? Does it have dead zones? Dead
I mean,
zones cannot contain life. They can't contain
oh,
any animal or plant life. It's just a place
oh,
full
in
of algae
India,
and plastic.
oh, in India, we don't have that that kind of dead zones. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
So
There
Indian
is.
in India, like now the government, protecting is by lot of laws. So the coral reefs are safe, but still, I mean, I agree with you. There are not dead zones, but still, we are in a position to control the pollution. Yeah.
Yes. So coral is really important because many animals rely on the coral for protection,
Yes.
food,
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
house sea turtle, they eat corals, So food and shelter and protection.
Yes.
So there
Yes.
are some animals that goes through small spaces
Uh-huh.
in the coral, like the octopus or very very small fish and eels,
Yeah.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
So there are also food for some animals, like the
Yeah.
hawksbill sea turtle
Oh,
and
okay.
some other animals, some parrotfish or something. Thank you for giving me a time to get some valuable knowledge from you. So
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you very much, and it was a
Thank you.
pleasure to meet you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I like to know from where you are calling from. Sri Lanka.
I'm in Kandy in Sri
Okay.
Lanka.
Yeah. Oh, you're in Sri Lanka right now.
Yes, in
Yeah.
Kandy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah. Convey my
So,
wishes to your. Yeah.
so I am the ambassador in the Marine Conservation Network in Santa
Oh.
Barbara, Florida.
Oh, Florida.
So,
Okay.
so my dream is to become a marine biologist like you.
That's
So
great.
I am trying to be a specialist about the deep sea.
So cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I am grateful in Hillwood College, Kandy. Um,
Yeah, great to know. I mean, it's a pleasure to know that at your age you learned not only corals, you learned about what red tide, and you learned about sea turtles. It's amazing. At your age, I was like, just playing. You do have, I mean, that's fine. Playing is fine, but at the same time, you do have interest in conservation. That's amazing. Yeah.